like if you think about it, radio, print, and TV, that's how everything used to run back in the day. Well, we
Yep.
still have a version of all three of those right now. So
Mhm.
you have radio, which is podcasts.
Yep.
Okay. That's basically the equivalent to them nowadays,
Music
right?
Making Sense podcast.
Exactly. Making all the sense.
Right,
And
right.
then you also have print, which is blogs and other, style of writing mediums on all the different platforms, whether it's Twitter and Facebook, which are heavy with text, or whether it is Substack or just independent blogs that post articles and stuff like that, like Double XL and all of them. They've went
Mhm.
from print to digital with their media. So
Yep,
we
they
still
sure
have
did.
print because print is also text. Okay. And
Mhm.
then you have TV, which is all the video aspects. So the video aspects on social media, plus you have YouTube and stuff like that as well, too. So we still have the radio, print, and TV that we used to have back in the day when Prince and Michael
Satellite.
Jackson and, Black Sabbath and all of them, they
Yep.
got big off of print, radio, and TV, which is the media of those days. Well,
Yep.
we have the same things now, but they've evolved. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Music Making Sense podcast. It's your boys, Parkos and KP, with you as always, back for another dope episode of music marketing mayhem and information. How the hell you doing today, KP?
I'm good, dude. I just been actually it's crazy. It's been looking at the YouTube and a couple of our shorts, man. We've getting some serious likes, man. We're starting
Yeah,
to
you
pick
got
up
almost
biz.
1,000 views on one of the shorts that I gave you. So,
Yeah,
or that cut up of you. I didn't give it to you, but I cut up of you
right.
going off or whatever. Yeah, you got almost 1,000 views. And what's
Hmm.
interesting is you're a metal frontman, but the clip that got almost 1,000 views was of you talking about Jay-Z and 50 Cent.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy. I was looking through. I was like, what the fuck? This one?
I know,
This
dude.
one
That
went
was crazy.
crazy? Okay.
That's what I looked at too. I was like, oh god, we got like 24 likes on that Joker, dude.
Yeah, no,
And I'm saying,
exactly.
and people are probably like, oh my god, he's gonna be about vanity points. No, dude, it's just
No, it
understand
just
what
shows
we're
how it's
doing right.
resonating.
Yeah, it just shows how we're resonating. And it's like, it's really cool because of our dynamic. You know what I'm saying? I think that we just and people are starting to see it. And I think we've been getting, and shout out to everybody who's been giving us love and compliments and just showing love and on Instagram. And big up, man, to your reviews. Like, you've been really doing a killer job on those reviews, man. I'm really impressed with those.
Yeah, I
And
got a few more coming down the way
yeah,
as well too. And I actually
cool.
got I already had like a couple people hit me up because they saw the reviews and they're like, hey,
Yeah,
so
yeah, dude, I know.
so
That's
I'm able to
crazy.
help. Yeah, so I'm able to help even more people. Oh, you saw that one in the
Yeah.
Instagram?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Instagram
That's
Messenger.
dope.
Yeah, yeah, and he was the one off of the episode 2 one that I did and stuff. He's one of his buddies or whatever, stuff. So I mean, yeah, that is great, because that's what we're trying to do is help
Yeah.
artists,
Yep.
and we, you know, like we always say, we have paid services, but then we also have a bunch of free shit that we'd give out, like right here on what you're listening right now on the podcast. This podcast, we put it out for free, and then you cut up the clips and everything like that, and then we have the music marketing reviews that we do that are absolutely free, and
Yep.
we answer questions and try to help people out and everything like that, because that's our ultimate goal, and it's been helping people, man, because out of the reviews I've done so far, everyone that I did a review for, that I shot a video for, except for that guy we talked about in the last episode. We're not going to talk about him anymore, but yeah, because I was just editing the clips. I was like, that's kind of a dull episode, but so we're not going to talk about him anymore. But all the ones that I have been doing them for, they've been implementing those changes. Right. And I'm like, yes, that's dope. Like this one that I'm getting ready to put out here soon, that should be out by the time people hear this episode. It is a producer, right? He just makes beats. That's it. And he has a Facebook and a SoundCloud. That's it. And I'm like, okay, we got a lot of things that you can do. You know what I'm saying? Because you're basically doing nothing. I said it, obviously, I said it professionally and stuff. I'm like, hey, there's a lot of room to grow here, because you're just, and he was just kind of getting started. And so a lot of these people that we've been helping with the music marketing reviews, they've been just getting started, or they're at like 1 or 2 years and like banging their head on a wall because they can't figure it out.
Pretty much
because
at level one, and pretty much at
like level one,
ground zero, level one.
Exactly, ground zero, level one. And it's dope because that's the best place to help people, and that's what I keep telling these artists too, because they come at me with like lack of self-confidence and they go, oh well, I'm just getting started, I don't really know what I'm doing. I was like, dude, this is the best time for you to have somebody you don't fucking know review your shit and give you pointers, because all the people you do know are gonna be like, oh, it's amazing, but me, you don't know me for shit. I'm gonna come in and be like, hey, this, and you're gonna be like, okay, cool. But you at ground zero, or maybe even level one, that's the best time to do it, because then you don't have the huge ego that a 5 or 10 or 12-year veteran does. You know what I'm saying? Like a 10-year veteran, like, I know one of them. He's been doing it since he was like 16 and he's 36. So he's a 20-year veteran, you know what I'm saying? And he started on the ground in New York City and shit. And so whenever I try to tell him stuff, and he's listening a little bit more now, but just because I just keep hammering it, and then he's finally seeing it everywhere else that he looks, you know what I'm saying? But at first, when I was coming with it, I was one of the first ones to talk to him about some of this internet marketing type style of shit. And he was just like, nah, man, that's not how you do it. I'm like, okay. You know what I'm saying? I understand. I haven't been doing it as long as you, but
you understand.
But like I've been
internet.
Focusing in a one area that you haven't. You know what I'm saying? See, it doesn't matter like how many years you've been doing something. It matters how much focus and concentration you've been putting in one area, and so he can sit here and tell me for hours about ground game style shit all day, because he's done it for decades. And so I'm like, I listen to what he's saying with that. I'm like, okay, cool. If I ever want to do that, or if I ever have anybody that needs to do that, I know where to go to get the information, but when it comes to the internet and stuff like that, that's where I've been focusing like crazy for years, even if I've just been watching and learning and thinking, and not actually practicing.
And the thing is too, is that you got a lot of these guys who are saying that, and I'm saying this to the older generation who thinks that way. And from someone who is within that same generation,
you're in the old generation,
right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say this. Number one, if you guys still have Prince didn't do it that way, and all these guys, right? It's like, dude, let me tell
Michael
you right
Jackson
now,
didn't get famous like that.
Didn't get famous like that, or Barry White didn't do that. If you guys listen to the messages those three men have said, you need to really listen to what those three men said if you are an older musician like myself, because they said this: you need to learn the business. You need to understand the business. This is your life. And if you don't believe in the way it's going now, and you want to sit there and fight the internet and say social media is this, yada, 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 Gary Vaynerchuk says the same thing to y'all. Your asses are going to be left behind still talking about what they did back in the day. Okay? And all of you guys who are make you feel rappers, y'all saying that they're dead. No, they're not. Y'all just not smart enough. Y'all just not being wise enough to use the fucking internet to get your message across in a way where it attaches, your content is attached to the emotion of your song. That's what you're missing, guys.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one other point on that as well too is when people say that's not how this person or that person back in the old, before social media, did things, it's like, no, they didn't use social media, but they used the media at that time, and they used it like a motherfucker, because they didn't just go around from town to town doing shows. No, they hit the radio airwaves, they were on TV, they were in print, which is the main three forms of media that there was going on with Michael Jackson and Barry and all that. I mean, like, think about it, dude. Michael Jackson was put out in front of the Jackson 5 on all the television shit that they were doing. You know what I'm saying? And so then whenever he actually came of age, but still had the same high-pitched voice. Anyway, that's me just being dumb. But anyway, whenever he finally came of age and started doing crazy, his stuff, and went crazy with it, he was on all of the forms of media. He was on the magazines. You heard him on the radio. You saw him on TV. Well, radio, print, and TV are going out the door, and internet-based media on social media, on blogs, on podcasts, those are the things now,
Even Roku television, like, Apple TV, that's 3 billion people are watching on Roku and Apple and those and YouTube, and they're watching this. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I would rope in YouTube and the other video medias. I would rope them into the social media aspect.
Yeah.
Because like, if you think about it, radio, print, and TV, that's how everything used to run back in the day. Well, we still have a version of all three of those right now. So you have radio, which is podcasts.
Yeah.
Okay. That's basically the equivalent to them nowadays,
Music
right?
Making Sense podcast.
Exactly. Making all the sense. Right. And then you also have print, which is blogs and other, style of writing mediums on all the different platforms, whether it's Twitter and Facebook, which are heavy with text, or whether it is Substack or just independent blogs that post articles and stuff like that, like Double XL and all of them. They've went from print to digital with their media. So we still have print, because print is also text. Okay. And then you have TV, which is all the video aspects. So the video aspects on social media, plus the video aspects on, the Hulu TV and stuff like that you were talking about. But then also you have YouTube and stuff like that as well too. So we still have the radio, print, and TV that we used to have back in the day when Prince and Michael Jackson and, Black Sabbath and all of them, they got big off of print, radio, and TV, which is the media of those days. Well, we have the same things now, but they've evolved.
Yep.
Just like everything else has evolved. I mean, back, if you go back far enough into the 1900s, people predominantly still use outhouses. Okay. We don't do that anymore. We've evolved in our bathroom use. So we've also evolved with our social media and our media use in general, and so yeah, whenever I hear people say that, I just saw a post from some artist today who was like saying how, like, some of the people he knows tell him that he needs to move and come to a different area. That's why he's not making it. I'm just like,
yeah, dude.
No,
seriously.
You know what? If you have no access to a studio where you're at, and for whatever reason you don't want to build your own in your house or your apartment or whatever, and you like going to a studio because you don't, whatever the situation is, okay, I could see moving to a place that has decent studios or something like that. If you live in an area in the middle of nowhere and it's hard to find a videographer or something like that, I could see you possibly moving someplace like that. But if you live in one city that has videographers and studios and stuff like that, and you're going to move to another one because it's supposedly the Mecca, no.
Yeah.
Because the grass isn't greener on the other side. The grass is green wherever the fuck you water it. You know what I'm saying?
Preach.
That's always my motto. Yeah. That's my motto, like a motherfucker. When people are, because I grew up in a small town here in Indiana, and I live in a medium-sized one now, and I always hear people say, oh, this grass is greener on the other side type shit. I hear a lot of artists like, oh man, I got to move to Atlanta because Atlanta's where it's popping for hip hop and stuff. And I'm like, okay, but 2 weeks ago you were just talking about putting on for Indiana. So what are you going to do? You're going to be a Atlanta artist, or you're going to be an Indiana artist?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to be a city first type of artist, then you need to rep whatever city you want to rep. You can't move down to Atlanta and be repping Naptown shit, 317 and everything like that. When you're in Atlanta, they're going to be like, who the fuck, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? You just need to use the internet wisely, use the new day print media and television.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, as you see in the background, all y'all, he's got his drum set back there. He's got his keyboard, and he's got the great view of the trees. Oh, yeah. So he's been working on, you said you've been working on a lot of your more stuff with your sync licensing and taxi and stuff like that. And you go ahead and get into that. You were wanting to talk some more about that, because you've been doing a lot of research here lately and getting some more knowledge up.
And I didn't get a chance to share with you because I actually wanted to wait till we were recording, but I ended up getting feedback on the song I had showed, one of my chop that I showed you the other week, by John Wick, Nobody chop. I got feedback on it, and I would love to share that with y'all, because I wanted to just talk about the stereotypes that a lot of people have when it comes to Taxi, and how they feel like, oh, it's pay to play, it's all these things. And so I just want to give you guys a little bit of a glimpse of what they have, what they've done, and how they give back, how they give feedback to artists. And secondly, before I had sent when I joined Taxi, a couple of days after getting registering in as a member, I received a call from Taxi themselves. I think it was a guy named Mark. Shout out to Mark, but he's really cool, man. And he just, welcomed me in and things. And like, we had a real conversation. He was telling me about when I get to the, which is Taxi has this thing called the Road Rally, which is a conference, like a music conference for those who are into sync licensing. So
that's that one in California you were talking to me about offline?
Yep, I'll be going to California in November. So here's my membership.
Yeah, and when people say, "Oh, Taxi's pay to play," it's like, no, it's pay to play the game. If you want to get in, then you need to pay to have access, and then you can go from the sky's the limit from there. You got, but in order to get access to their platform, you got to pay to hop it in. It's a network. It's very simple, but people look at things where you got to pay as a
scam. Oh yeah, or it's like they think it's always, everything's a scam. So it's like, no, dude. So for everybody who wants to say that, oh, they're not going to give you, they're just trying to take money from you and they're not trying to help you. All right, this is my feedback for Nobody / John Wick style track. Okay, so it goes on to say what I like most about the song. It says, I like that you spent time with the reference materials, but
so the reference materials are like when you go and look at a job listing or whatever, it has different materials that it wants you to sound like. Is that right?
Yeah, they're looking at, so with this one, and let me go back, I'm sorry. So with this one, it's the songs, like the reference tracks are like, they're looking at, that's why I played John Wick, Nobody, and it was Marvel universe, Marvel Comics track. So the references is like, you don't have to copy them. They don't want you to copy them. They want you to come up with your own original. But
something in that style.
Something in that style, in that reference, right?
That makes sense.
And they said, but it's difficult to make a solid connection between this track and those references. One of the major keys here is the disparity in levels. The cue, much of this cue came off far too quiet. And when I listened to it, I totally got where they were coming from, and said, check out these references again in terms of overall mix and relative levels. They're pretty even and not featuring long sequences of subdued dynamics. So right here, it says the additional things I noticed. Now, what they do is that they check the boxes and they'll say why they returned it, or they'll say this is why they forwarded. So if it was forwarded, that means I would have been having a chance to get a sync. That would open up my chance of getting a deal. But here's the kicker, and I call this valuable news for me. Okay, versus it being bad or good, right? It's valuable because, as you can see here, it says an additional things I noticed, and this is where they place the comments of, these are helpful suggestions and not necessarily the reason why the music was forwarded or returned. And look at the top left right hand dialog box that says, I returned or forward this submission because to see the reason forward or return. So as you can see, my style was on point.
Yeah, it was just the main reason was just the recording the mix, which is what they put in the text as well for you up there too.
Right. So when you look at the boxes, so what I'm saying is that when you look at these boxes, as you guys can see, this is why I'm saying this is valuable. If you look at them, all those boxes were mixed. One was just that one right there, where it says recording and mixing needs improvements. So that means I need to just really listen to my sound and focus on mastering and mixing and mastering the levels to where you can hear the sound and the impact of the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So for everybody who wants to say, oh, well, they're just not, they don't be doing, they just take away your money. They just want to do. No, dude, these are references. I mean, I want y'all to think about, they're giving me the tools to succeed.
Yeah, it's constructive criticism. And they're telling you, hey, this, and this. And you're like, okay. They didn't just come, oh, that shit's trash. No, thank you. They actually came with some shit. And that's dope, man, because like you can use these points right here and you can remix it. You can remake it if you wanted to, and then come back and submit something else and then see what they say. Take all these different things. And then, like you said, they were talking about the levels being off. I think did I say something about that? How like it goes like up and down too much or whatever? And you were like, oh, that's kind of like what the style was. And I said, okay, cool. I've never seen John Wick, so I didn't know.
Right.
But like, yeah, that seems to be what they were saying about how it didn't go up and down smooth. It was kind of like straight up and down or something.
Yeah, at first I thought you were saying like make it. I thought when you said that, I thought you were referencing like making the part like certain, like switch a certain part. That's what I thought you were saying. But now when I think about it, like,
yeah, I was kind of saying that as well too. But yeah, no, but with what they're saying that like, it's okay, just like have that gradual incline and decline to build the suspense and to build it up and to have it come in smooth and everything like that, kind of like whenever you listen to like the scores from Star Wars, right? Now obviously everybody knows the initial, like the one that comes on super loud at the beginning of the movies, but I'm talking about the actual ones that go out through the scenes. They start out with like a little bit of like wind instruments, and then it kind of starts building up with strings and everything like that, and then it kind of crescendos, and then it tapers back off.
But the levels are even, right? But the levels are even when it comes to the way it sounds. And I started, and what I ended up doing was that I went back and I looked at my profile on here, and I looked at one of my songs, and
see, there's the John Wick one. You see how like it's like little bit and then huge and then little bit and then huge and then little bit and then huge and stuff like that. Yeah, I think what I was saying is that last third that you should have put up front, because it builds gradually and I think that's what I was saying, which is similar to what they were saying about how like you start off quiet, then you get loud quick, it comes up big and stuff.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, see, like it starts really, really low, and then it gets super loud. Like if you forward to the first loud part.
Right.
Yeah, like right in there. Yeah, see, now it's getting a little bit, and then it gets big, But then if you go to the last third back there, no, right before that one, before that big wave. Yeah, right. No, to the right. A little bit more right. No, before the big waves. No, the next one. No, to the right, sorry.
Man, come on, nigga.
To the right, some more. A little bit more. A little bit more right. No, that's left, right.
Right here?
A little bit more down. No, the other way. Towards the end. Right there.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like right here, it like kind of starts building up or whatever, and like that's what I was saying. I think that because the levels on that are kind of like building. See how it's building and building and building? I think that was my suggestion. Can you pause that, please? I think that was my suggestion. Sorry, I can't like think very well with other noises going on. It's just my brain thing. But I think that was what I was suggesting. But what they were saying is that the dynamics between everything is what's cool. But that is cool, man, that they actually give you feedback.
Yeah.
When you do something, they tell you why it was kicked back or why it was forwarded, because both of them are great pieces of feedback. If you get something forwarded and they're like, hey, we forwarded it because of this, then that completely helps when you go to create the next thing, because you're like, okay, I did this well right here, I need to do this well again, and again and again, and then you keep seeing them forward, and you're like, yes, yes, yes. But whenever you do something and it gets rejected, you know, if you were to be like some of those people that think the taxi's a scam, and you would submit something and they reject it, man, fuck them, man, it was good, they don't know what the fuck they're looking for.
Yeah,
you know,
because they're thinking about hit songs.
Right, exactly.
And that's what it is.
Like,
these
artists, they don't know what they're looking for.
Yeah. It's like they're thinking like, oh, because the artist is thinking hit song, like, well, this is a hit. My friends liked it, but it's like, okay, but did it fit the theme of what they're looking for?
Exactly.
Your friends aren't the one writing the goddamn movie script, dog.
No, not the one that's gonna be paying. They're not the one that's gonna be paying you every quarter or whatever for shit either.
So I wanted to just give you guys that sauce, because I know people love to, you know, like we said, people love to sit there and make and jump to conclusions about certain things, like such as sync licensing, and not really give it, you know, not give it any type of research, and unwilling to pay for it because their skepticism, and unwilling to do the research. And speaking of that, since we're getting into talking about composition or, you know, film and composition, we're looking at how that's going to how the writer strike is going to affect.
Yeah, how the writer strike. So yeah, I was wanting to talk about that because I said something about it a few weeks ago or whatever to you before the thing. But when we were talking about sync licensing, because it's all kind of combined with the film industry and stuff. And
absolutely,
you know, if you look at it, you know, one thing I want to say real quick is that you were talking about the skepticism that people have about, you know, paying the 300. Like, I get where they're coming from. That's a huge chunk of, that's a good chunk of money for something that you don't know shit about.
It took me a while to pay to get on it, because I had to do the research.
Because you had to feel good enough, you know, because everything with the sales process, right, is you have to know, like, and trust whatever it is before you give them money, right? And so you knew about Taxi. Well, then you had to learn some more to like them, and then you had to learn even more to trust them enough to give them the $300 to take that next step with them, to where you're like, hey, I want to get in on this. Let me in the door. Here's my fee. And then they let you in, and then you go from there. And then now they keep building on that trust, you know, because if you would have hopped in and they would just jack your money, and then like they're just letting you down, they're not giving you any feedback either way, stuff like that, then yeah, you would have been like, nah, fuck this, man. I'm not renewing with them. I'm not telling anybody to go with them, nothing like that. Yeah. But you're having good feedback from them. You're having a good experience with them. That's solidifying that trust that they built with you. And so now you're telling everybody here that's trying to know, like, and trust us for music marketing information, hey, look, I built this trust with these guys. It's dope. You guys should check it out. You know, and there's plenty of free material where all you gotta do is just spend your time to listen and read and stuff like that and learn before you even take that $300 jump, you know? Yeah. And yeah, so that's definitely good. And how I think it ties in with the writer strike and stuff. So historically, you know, these writers will strike any kind of union. How it will work is that any union, the members will strike because the negotiations didn't go the way they wanted while everything was still in operation, when they were trying to renegotiate contracts and stuff like that for more benefits, more pay, stuff like that. And so if they can't come to an agreement within a certain amount of time, then they end up striking. Right. Well, normally what happens is then more pressure's put on both the company and the workers, to where they finally come to the table, come up with some kind of compromise and agreement to find some middle ground, and then they resume operations. However, you know, right now with the writer strike, everybody's throwing around, oh, it's because of AI. I think that's just like the easy scapegoat. You know, I think that's just the easy thing to throw underneath the bus.
It sounds like the same old, it sounds like the same scapegoat as a social media scapegoat of why everything is screwed up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people talk about, oh, our kids are messed up because of social media. It's like, you know that social media is not the parent, right? You know you know that whenever you take your kid out in public, you don't have to give them the tablet as the new pacifier now. You know what I'm saying? They can be present in the moment with everybody else, not on an electronic device. You don't have, just because they're fucking 6 or what have you. I mean, fuck, I see people that will hand it to their toddlers that can't even speak, in order to keep them complacent and copacetic at dinner here or at this place or whatever and stuff like that. And I'm just like, look, I get it. Like the toys have evolved, but you can still give them non-electronic toys to keep them occupied. You can sit there, you can hang out with them, you can have them next to you and nurture them, stuff like that. Like, you know, you can still be a parent just because there's electronics. Yeah, that makes it easier on you, you know. Just like Ozempic makes it easier to lose weight. However, it's not the healthiest way. You know what I'm saying? People are talking about, you know, small things from the Ozempic butt that you get all the way up to even more hazardous health complications, you know? And I'm not a doctor, blah, blah, blah. But like, you know, everything that you do has positive and negative consequences. You just got to try to mitigate that. And so, you know, yeah, I do think that them talking about AI is just a scapegoat. Because like I've said before, this AI is not real AI. No. Real AI, I'd be able to have a conversation with, just like I'm having a conversation with KP right here, and it would react similar. You know, I was talking, I work with somebody in my regular job who's like a computer nerd and stuff, and he's actually in a degree program for video game design and stuff. And he's all about tech and technology and stuff like that. And I was talking to him. I said, man, this AI ain't really AI. And he was like, yeah, it's not really. And I was like, I'll call it AI and say it's actually AI when I can have a conversation with it like it's a person. And it doesn't have to be the most intelligent person on the planet, because intelligence has a spectrum. And so artificial intelligence is going to have a spectrum as well too. You're going to have some people who are dumb as hell and you can still talk with them. They can still help you out a little bit. That's going to be the first real AI where you can have a conversation with them and they're not that smart. And then you're going to have conversations with an advanced AI that it's like talking to a rocket scientist, you know? And so, but there's going to be a spectrum of everything in between. And we don't have that right now. Everything is just really dumb and you can't have a conversation with it at all.
Well, so I mean, because it's created by us. That's why, because it's created by us.
Yeah, there's that, but it still hasn't broke through to the intelligence level yet, in my opinion.
Right. And okay, case in point. That's why people, when they talk, it's because AI is made by humans.
Yeah, and like, we haven't figured out. Yeah, we haven't figured out how to create intelligence, because we don't even know how intelligence was created in us or in any other sentient life form. You know, like my dog's right here laying down on my legs. You know what I'm saying? They have a form of intelligence as well too. They're very intelligent. I got huskies, so they're very intelligent.
Yeah,
you know, but just like with dogs, you know, sometimes you have some of those
Great Danes,
the chocolate labs that are just dumb as hell, you know.
Sweet.
Yeah, I mean, they're sweet as hell, but they're like dumb idiots.
Great Danes.
Yeah, you got you got Great Danes. Yeah, they are like the big dogs. Great Danes and Mastiffs, they're just big boobs. Like, you put a fucking small little baby gate in front of them and they act like they have a fucking chasm in between them and you. They're whining. They're like, they could literally walk right through it. No problem. It wouldn't even hurt them. They probably break the fucking baby gate, but they'll sit there, act like it's the Grand Canyon in between them and you. You know what I'm saying? And it's a fucking little baby gate that you could just literally push over. Yeah, exactly. So there's a spectrum with intelligence and stuff like that. But like I said, I just see that it is just an excuse. Okay. What I think the real thing that's going to come from this is that unions are either going to adapt or die to the new way of doing business in the creative realm. And the new way of doing business in the creative realm is one-on-one transactions, not big conglomerates, more freelancer, if you want to call it that, solopreneurs, if you want to use that term,
DIYers.
Exactly. It's the individual creator that go into a marketplace, because the marketplace is so well digitized now that people like yourself can create something, and you don't have to have an agent. I mean, technically Taxi's acting like an agent, but you don't have to have an actual agent. You don't have to go through these different companies and pitch to these different companies individually, get meetings with them, have their address and send them physical copies, nothing like that.
Yeah, you don't have to do all the unsolicited stuff. You don't have to be unsolicited.
And there doesn't have to be that lag time, you know? Like, if you think about it, if a movie is wanting to make a picture house is wanting to make a movie, right? So they're like, okay, we need all these different pieces. And so, okay, John, you take care of getting all the scores, right? Well, John is going to go to the, you know, couple different companies that they always use and say, hey, all right, what new artists do you got? What do you have that would fit this and everything like that? They would put that out to those one or two little agencies.
Mm-hmm.
And then those agencies will come back with something whenever they hit up their individual artists. So that's artists working for agencies and kind of go from there. Well, now you don't have to do that because there's an evolved form of that where you can just create on your own in your room and everything like that or what have you, and then submit it all yourself. And the only middle person you're going through is Taxi. You pay that one-time fee or whatever. Yep. That's it. And then then you build that relationship with the client, and then you can, after you do one or two through Taxi for a client, you can build a relationship with them independently and have their personal email and no longer go through Taxi. And you can deal one-on-one with them. You can be 100% freelance. They can come to you when they got stuff, and you can work if you want to, or if you don't want to, stuff like that.
Especially if you make a good, especially if you get at least 20 something placements, sync placements, dude, and they're calling you for music. And the thing is that you got to make sure you are able to deliver that music. So you got to be writing, you got to be doing some serious writing. And you're right though. What you're saying is just how the opportunity of being able to, if you get 20 sync placements, you may not have to use them again.
Yeah, exactly. Like you won't have to use Taxi again. You got those 10 to 20 people or whatever that you got contacts with, the head of this or the head of that at this picture house or whatever that's doing it. And you got these, and then they're doing referrals because, they talk to people at dinner. They go out, they have friends within the industry, or at least, associates within the industry that they talk to. And somebody's like, man, so I like that new score that you got for this scene in that movie y'all just put out. Who did that? Like, oh, KP did that for me. Oh, who's KP? Oh, he's this guy that blah, blah, blah. Let me get his contact information. So now you're getting referrals. And so now you as an individual have your own little LLC that you get you pay $100 or $200 for or whatever. And you're sitting here, you got people coming to you because you've built your reputation. You got people coming back to you, or they're getting referrals and stuff like that. And you're able to build off of that. And then you can live the life, whatever life that you want. You can pick and choose, hey, do I have time to work on this? Like you can look at the listings coming in, the requests coming in, and you can say, this one speaks to me and I have time, or I can make time to get that knocked out. And then you do it, and then you go. And then, you have the reoccurring royalties and stuff like that, plus the upfront, payments that they may or may not give you and stuff like that too. So you're able to create the lifestyle that you want and still do your music. So you can, like you yourself, right? You can be doing these scores, and these scores could help fund your life to a point where then you can start working on other passion projects that you have. Exactly. And then maybe you can get to a point where you don't even mess with the scores anymore because you're gaining revenue off of something else that you're doing. And then you shift from there and you shift from there, like similar, I know he's labeled as a genius, but similar to how Elon Musk did, right? He started kind of at the bottom, right? I know his dad had like connections and shit like that, but even still, he had to build his own way, right? He may have got handed some shit, but he had to prove the fuck out of himself. And
everyone does.
Yeah, and I listened to one of Lex Friedman's podcasts. He had this autobiographer on who actually has done a couple biographies on Elon. And I guess apparently like Elon had a bad childhood with his dad, and he can't stand his dad. He don't even talk to him. Yeah. And so like everything he does is basically like to stick it to his dad all the time, because his dad would always tell him.
I can totally see that.
Yeah, his dad would always tell him how fucking stupid he was and how he couldn't fucking, he wouldn't succeed and everything like that. So now he's the richest man on the planet, and he's like, I'm not even gonna talk to you, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of stuff, which is it speaks to his personality, because if you look at somebody like him on the surface, you think all these things, but then you look deeper and you're like, oh, you see the rhymes and the reasons and everything like that, and you're like, oh, that makes sense. But either way, besides that, he had to kind of start from the bottom, and him and I think it was Jack Dorsey and like one or two other people, built PayPal, and then they had to expand from there. And then once they sold PayPal, then they had enough money. And so then Elon was like, okay, let me put this money into, electric vehicles. I want to get that going. Well, now that he got that going pretty well, and he's like, okay, I want to go to space too. So now he's in space. And then he's like, oh, I think, and so like his main source of focus whether he has a hyper ego about it or not, his main source of focus is bettering the human race. And so, he feels personally electric vehicles are going to help with that. He feels that the robots that they're working on with Tesla bot and stuff like that and Optimus and stuff are going to help with that. He feels that, going to space and being a multi-planetary species is going to help with that. He feels that, now he took over Twitter, right? Because he feels that free speech is essential to society. And since we're a global, connected, internet-based society now, we need to have a platform for free expression and collaboration. And some of the shit that they're doing, every single one of y'all artists, you need to get on Twitter and you need to pay that little bit, $8 to get that blue check, because what you can do is you can get subscribers on there. Like any one of y'all listening right here, right now, you can go subscribe to Music Making Sense podcast over on Twitter. You subscribe for this couple bucks a month, right? And what you're doing is you're supporting that channel, our channel or what have you, right? But then also too, if you are a creator and you have that, when people subscribe to you, Twitter or X will also share their email address with you. Because a lot of these platforms, like I talked about a few episodes ago, how Instagram doesn't know how to use emails properly. They don't know how to do email marketing properly. And they're for damn sure not just going to give you their emails. Twitter is doing that now. If you have subscribers that pay money to you, right, they will give you the email address so you can contact and build and nurture those relationships with those subscribers off of their platform. No other company does that. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, you can take stuff like what Elon's done or what other people like him, whoever you look up to, right? They've always started with, you look at Joe Rogan, you want to look at whoever you want to look at, right? They've all started with fucking damn near nothing. Even some people that started off with a couple of edges above, they had to build and then they expanded. And once they got a certain amount of lifestyle that was coming in off of something that they built, they were able to branch off and do other things. Like I manage a restaurant for a guy who has multiple businesses. All right. And so he built up this restaurant, he got it going. And then him and a couple of his buddies started a supplement company. Now he's got that going kind of decent. They're expanding that. So he's got the revenue on that. And now he mainly does a lot of his focus. Like he focuses a little bit on the restaurant, but I mainly got that. Then he focuses a little bit on the supplement company and stuff, but he's got partners to help out with that as well too. And then they have some people that they have that work for them as well too, subcontract. But then also he has a dog rescue over in Jordan, the country, and because that's where he's from. And he has a dog rescue he's starting over there. It's the first dog rescue in the whole country. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And because what they do, they have a wild dog problem, right? And what they do to deal with that is massacre them sometimes. It's really fucked up if you like animals, right? And so what he's doing is he's got this rescue where they take in strays and they spay and neuter them. And it's 100% nonprofit, right? They take only donations and everything. And he does that. He spays and neuters, helps out with, healthcare and stuff like that with them and everything like that. And he's got some other people they partners with over there. And that's his passion project right now. So like whatever it is you want to do, if you want to start like you, KP, you're making these scores, they're going to eventually start funding your lifestyle to where you can focus more on, being that, goth looking jazz frontman or whatever the fuck you want to do. You know what I'm saying? You can keep building from there. And I think that's what's going to happen with this writer strike as well, too, is that the writer strike is going to break down these unions that had a time and a place. Okay. A lot of the things that the unions helped to get with workplace safety, OSHA, and, all these other safety things that they helped come up with that help Americans have a great lifestyle if they're within a union or even if they're not in a union now, you know what I'm saying? With higher wages and all these protections and stuff like that. And these benefits that took us out of basically, being a cog in a machine to where you're at least a decently paid and benefited cog in the machine, especially with these factories,
right?
That's all gone. It doesn't need to happen anymore because not only the companies, but the employees, the individuals have the opportunity to come and go as they please now. So all of these writers that are striking right now, you're going to start seeing some of them leave the union and start doing indie shit on their own. They're going to cross the line, as people always say with these picket lines. They're going to cross the line and be like, hey, I started my own LLC. it's me, myself. You already know my catalog. I just previously been working with you. I no longer want to strike. Let's strike a deal to where I can be a subcontractor for you. And then they can make more money than what they're making, because these unions rape the fuck out of these people every time they get paid. You know what I'm saying? I know some people who work in factories that work in unions, and they got their union dues that they have to pay if they want to work at that place, making the good money with the good benefits. You know what I'm saying? It's pay to play, if you want to look at it like that. You know what I'm saying?
What do you think is going to happen with actors?
I think it's going to be the same way.
You think it's going to be the same way too?
I think they're not going to be the SAG. They're not going to be in a Screen Actors Guild anymore. They're going to start having freelance bidding. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you look at it like this, so WWE, they have a lot of writers, but they don't have a union.
Yeah.
They have their writers that work for them. They have some freelance.
Freelancers.
Yeah. They have freelance, and then they also have employees, right?
Yeah.
Which, they have the option. And then if you look at like, all their production crew and stuff like that, that's not any kind of screen thing. All of their talent, all the wrestlers and stuff like that, they're all either independent and they come and go like some of the people do, like, Jake Paul and stuff like that. They come and go. They don't actually work for, but when they show up, they get paid as independent contractors, or they're employees under the company, stuff like that. Like Ronda Rousey, she was just only on contract for a small contract or whatever. People like that. People like Brock Lesnar, who jumped back and forth between the UFC and WWE before they were just bought out. Or before they just did that partnership or whatever, merge. Yeah. Then you look at the UFC and stuff like that. All those fighters, they run on contracts. They get like a 6-fight contract or whatever, and then some people make their way. And so that's what I see is going to happen, because like that already happens in the music industry.
Right. But here's the thing with WWE, right, about the WWE superstars. They can't venture out of the WWE, do like other business ventures, like, and make money. Like they can't make money off social media. They can't do stuff like that.
They can to an extent, and I think that's starting to change. That's going to change more, because the pressure is going to build where WWE is going to see that they help create a superstar, and then that superstar leaves at the end of the contract and does their own indie thing. And it's all stuff that WWE could have let them do, and then it would have made them grow bigger as well too. Because, for instance, let's talk about Ronda Rousey, right? So if Ronda Rousey has this contract with WWE, but then she also has opportunities to where she can make money off of fitness wear, right? For instance, WWE is like, oh, you can't do that, hypothetically, right? WWE says you can't do that or whatever. You can't be a fitness influencer on Instagram. You can't be out there wearing these things with Gymshark as your label, or whatever, right? Well, she's gonna be like, okay, at the end of the contract, she's gonna leave and go do that and skyrocket, because she's already built her name recognition with WWE. Now she's gonna be going over here. Well, now WWE just lost out on having her elevated profile continue carrying them with them as well too, because now she's ex WWE. Now she's only this. Before she would be this, just like Sasha Banks or whatever, right? She's been in the Mandalorian movies now. Well, she had to leave WWE to go do that. A lot of people have to leave to go do movies. Dave Bautista, shit like that.
TNA made the biggest mistake when Bobby Lashley left, because he was able to fight in Bellator, and he was in TNA Impact. And at that time, he was getting paid. He was like one of the highest paid wrestlers at that time. And he was doing MMA. And it was just, and then I don't know what happened, but they just, whatever they did, it was like the dumbest thing in the world, dude. Because
and now that they've merged with UFC, if you look at what UFC doesn't have those regulations. Conor McGregor did all of his shit while he was under contract with UFC, with his liquor and with his fight with Floyd and all that shit. He was still under contract with UFC. So I think that that's going to change now that UFC has some reins on WWE. It's going to explode, and they're going to have a lot more crossing where, UFC stars, when they hit like their physical retirement, they can go over to WWE and continue, and they can still do all their brand endorsements and everything like that, because it's just going to benefit everybody. Even if WWE takes a 5% cut, right, or whatever, right, they want to take a little taste, right? They want to get a little taste. even if they do that, it's going to raise everybody, whether they do the taste or not. It's going to raise everybody, because WWE is going to still have that superstar. That superstar is still going to have the solid platform of WWE, and then they're going to have their independent shit where they're merging with other companies and everything like that too. I mean, it's just going to be great,
Yeah.
and that's a lot of things that happen in music. Nas does partnerships with Hennessy and other companies and stuff like that while he's under his Def Jam label or what have you and stuff like that. A lot of, Jeezy did his Boost Mobile stuff while he was under a label and stuff. And so yeah, I think that it's going to happen like that with a lot of these other industries, but I think that this strike is going to break the unions within the film industry. And because like living here in Indiana, we're what's technically called a right to work state. And so with right to work, a lot of people have negative connotations of it. They mean like, oh, it's anti-union. Not necessarily. Yes, but not necessarily, right? What it is it says that if there is a company that is a union company, you have the right to apply and work there and not be participating in the union if you don't want to.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's where you have the right to work, because if not, a place like a factory would be like, you have to work you have to be in the union in order to work here. Just like in the film industry, if you want to be a fucking writer for Marvel movies, you have to be in the writers union. If you want to be an actor, you have to be in the Screen Actors Guild. Right. And then look at them now, like Bill Maher and a lot of these other people and stuff like that also do, like, they're in the Screen Actors Guild and they're writing and stuff like that. They can't promote anything. Like all these movies that are still continuing to come out, they're flopping a little bit for multiple reasons. But one reason is because they can't get out there and promote it. Because part of the thing is they can't promote it, right? So since they can't promote it, they can't showcase as well what they did to their next employer and stuff like that as well too. But like they can't be independent, and so that's why, luckily somebody like Bill Maher still had his independent podcast where he could still bring people on. Yeah, it's not exactly like the format of Real Time, but when the people who want to see Bill Maher and listen to him and stuff like that on a weekly basis, they used to watch him on Real Time, they can go check him out on that. And so he's still going forward, and HBO is losing out. You know what I'm saying? Because they're all part of this guild and stuff like that. And it's all going to be broken. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be fucking crying about it, because they've relied on that union as their safety net, because they are inept people, right? Overall, because the inept people always rely on safety nets because it helps comfort them, because they know they are not fully capable of being independent people. So they need that structure and that coddling that, for lack of better words, what a union offers them. It offers them the security and stuff like that. Just like, there's a lot of people who may kind of have an idea of wanting to be an entrepreneur in some way, shape, or form, whether it's a musician or they want to build a business or whatever, right? But they're scared because that is going into 100% commission-based territory, and they've been so used to their 9-to-5, their paycheck, their salary, whatever it is, their guarantees. Hey, if I come in and work, I get this much per hour. Hey, I get paid this much per year for my work. I have to work 40 hours. There's a lot of guarantees that are very, very comforting. When you go out into the
business, of the most talented people are always dependent and to that. You're so
absolutely right. And so I think that's going to free up people in the writers and the actors guilds and stuff like that, because it's either going to break in half or it's going to break completely, one of the two. Like I'm going to see to where they're going to eventually have it to where it's basically right to work style situation, where you don't have to be a part of the writers guild if you want to work on this next movie, if you don't want to, but maybe there's a little bit different tier in pay or something like that, right? You know, something like that, maybe people who are not in the union, they get paid a little bit more or something like that, or something, right? There's going to be something, because it's going to help. And a lot of people will look at it negative and say, oh, these greedy corporations, yada, 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 right? All that stuff. Yes, but also at the same time, it will give you more freedom of choice as well. Because instead of having a gun to my head and being like, oh, I'm in the guild, I have to work on this fucking project I don't want to fucking work on. I want to work on that project over there, but I'm under contract under the union with this one. The union made me get this job because the union guarantees I work certain amount of jobs per year, right? Well, this is one of the jobs, and I couldn't wait 2 weeks for that one to open. I had to take this one right now, or else I get kicked out of the union and couldn't work at all. Stuff like that. They won't have that now. Now they're going to be able to be like, I'm going to hold off and not work on that one because I can. And because I heard rumors that this might be starting up. And so they get to take that chance, and it might be a hell of a chance, or it might be a hell of a chance. You know what I'm saying? Because they might turn down one offer to work on one movie, wait on another one, but then that movie ends up getting canceled. Now they're fucked. They're like, fuck, now I gotta look for another one. Or they might end up getting that movie that they waited on, and that movie right there paid them way more, had way more success than what the other one could have had, and now they just elevated their career. So the opportunity is there so much more. And it's the same, like it's in the same realm of energy and furiosity. It's just in the same energy, since I can't speak fucking words properly. It's in the same energy as what we tell artists about making their music. You don't have to get on a label anymore to get everywhere, because a label was basically like a union, right? You don't have to be on that. You can do 100% freelance stuff. You can go and you can build your profile to a point to where, you know, if you've always dreamed of, you know, having a song with a certain artist that you've looked up to, you can get to a point where you can get that. You know what I'm saying? You can either have enough money, or you can have enough influence and status to where you can get that. And get that and build that and have that great dream collab that you've always been wanting for, and it could elevate your career to all new heights. You know, you can do so much more, because when you build your brand as an artist to be more than just the music, then it can take you more places. You know, you look at any hip hop artist or any musician in general who has also branched into movies or TV, or being a fashion influencer, or having their own products or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it opens up so much, and the opportunity to build the music built the opportunity for them to do that. You know,
exactly.
And I've heard people say, oh, well, they just sold out and stuff. It's like, no, they followed their project, their passion, you know, just like a few episodes back, whenever I said, I this kind of off topic, but on it, I said the thing that helped Freddie Gibbs and Michael Jackson succeed was that they were different, right? And I put that up, and I was talking about how their sound was different. You know, Michael Jackson's sound was different. Nobody was going hee hee and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Nobody came with God damn, I can't say that word. The ferocity. Thank you. I kept wanting to say furiosity, but anyway, nobody came with all that energy that he had on stage in the music videos, with all the creativity. Nobody came with that before him. You know, just like Freddie Gibbs, right? Freddie Gibbs from Gary, Indiana, which is outside of Chicago. It's almost like an unofficial. For those that don't know, it's like an unofficial suburb of Chicago, but it's in Indiana, not Illinois, where Chicago is, right? But you can see.
Is that near East St. Louis, by the way?
Well, no, East St. Louis is all the way down at the bottom of Illinois.
Okay.
Chicago's at the top of Illinois. St. Louis is at the bottom, because it goes to Missouri, because you got St. Louis, Illinois, and St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
So East St. Louis is St. Louis, Illinois.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so like, he was from Gary, and Michael Jackson's the only other motherfucker that made it big out of Gary, right? In music. And so, like, you know, I heard him on an interview with Snoop Dogg or whatever at the end of one of his songs, they're talking or whatever. And Snoop's like, man, you know, I really like your sound. It's different and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, cause, you know, what do you think a Gary artist sounds like? He's the other words, but I'm gonna say artist because I can't say it. But he was like, you know, what do you think a Gary artist sound like? Nobody knew, but now you know. You know what I'm saying? Because I created my own style to stand out, you know, and, you know, whenever I put that up, I actually had somebody say, yeah, but look at him now, he's flopped. I'm like, no, he literally said, I'm not going to make music anymore. I want to focus on film. So he didn't flop. He shifted, you know, but people see what they want to see, or they only see a small perception. They see his popularity and his record sales have went down. However, he literally said on Joe Rogan, when he was on Rogan last time, I think this is going to be my last album. I want to focus more on movies and film and shit. He said, I'm not feeling music anymore. It's too easy for me. Right. And whether you like or you don't like Freddie Gibbs' music, it doesn't matter. He used music to get up out the streets from where he self-admitted shot some crackheads before, you know what I'm saying, over deals, went bad, right? He got out of the streets, made his name in music, got enough popularity to where like he's friends with like big time fucking celebrities and shit like that now. And then he got his opportunity to go into movies, and now he's doing more stuff, you know, everything like that. Just like, you know, Ja Rule or T.I. or 50 Cent, you know, all these people, they keep branching out, you know. Yep. 50 doesn't make the music like he used to anymore, and his music doesn't hit like it used to anymore.
Nope.
But that motherfucker keeps making more money than he used to ever before. And he didn't sell his soul to the Illuminati like people think Jay-Z did, right? He, like you said on that famous clip of you, he works smarter. He works smarter, not harder, right? And that's what you have to do. And that's what I think, you know, things like sync licensing and taxi are going to bring to artists, you know, and with the breaking up of the unions, which I foresee, that's going to help artists who may like the art of performing and may like the stagecraft of it and may want to end up branching over to film or something with
or
theater or something like that, right? Whether they want to be up front or in the back, it doesn't matter. They can still be a part of it, you know, because you got people like T.I. and Ja Rule who were on the camera. You got people like 50 Cent who's behind that motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? But they still wanted to branch out in other things. And, you know, we're just in a good time where you can do that, you know. I mean, I started making music whenever I was in the Army. Like I always wanted to do it when I was in high school, right? But I didn't, like, I was in high school. This was like early 2000s. Nothing was really available. Internet was basically non-existent. You know what I'm saying? You had no internet on your cell phone. It was back in the days where if you hit that internet button on accident, you're paying a hell of a bill. You know what I'm saying? Because it would charge per megabyte of data. All right,
I remember that.
Megabyte, not gigabyte, not terabyte, megabyte of data, and it would charge like 10 cents per megabyte. And so you try to load one web page, that's, you know, 256 megabytes. Well, that's $2.56 just to load that motherfucker, you know. And it kept going like that. So like that kind of stuff wasn't available and stuff, you know, at that time. And then so then when I went in the Army around 2006, I started, you know, I met up with a couple of people that made music, and luckily I met up with a couple of people who actually made their own beats, right? And so they made their own beats, so we were able to have some original beats. But in that day, you had to go on like LimeWire or some other, like, you know, pirating site to get the, you know, 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Trying beat or whatever kind of beat that you wanted to have, you wanted to rap on, you know what I'm saying, to showcase your skills. You had to use somebody else's beat. Well, then technology kept going, you know. So like when I got out of the Army, I kind of stopped doing music for like 10 years, even though I still loved it, because there was no structure. I had nothing to use. MySpace was the only thing I really had, and then that was dying. So then there was Facebook, stuff like that. But for creating the music, I didn't have that anymore because I wasn't around my guys no more, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. So it kind of fell off. But then around 2016, whenever I started doing my radio show style podcast, and no, 2017. And then I started meeting a lot of people who were actually doing some shit on the internet, and how the internet had opened up a whole lot of things that I didn't know about in the realm of music. So then I hopped back in and started making my own music again and stuff, you know? And it's just like technology is expanding so much that as an individual, as a creative individual, whether you want to, you know, just make music all the time, or whether you want to diversify yourself and do more than just music stuff. Like I think most creative people have more than just one lane they want to do it.
Because it's funny you say that, because like for me, it was when I was immediately after I had left my first band, immediately I started getting into writing and learning how to write and record. And I was just doing that on the Tascam cassette. I started just like, I got a microphone and that Tascam recorder and this keyboard that I had, that I found somebody gave to me. And I fucking started working on that, creating, just creating. And I that was like in 2001, 2002, I started getting into production. That was like right after I had left the band that I was in. And it is crazy. And I ended up getting the SP505. I started getting into sampling and stuff. So right then it was like, yeah, there was that limit. We were limited, but at the same time, we were able to start. It was just the idea of getting started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
And
now
now
getting started
expand.
is easier.
Yeah.
It's so much easier, so much cheaper. All you gotta do is spend your time most of the time
Yep.
now. You know what I'm saying? A lot of shit's free or damn near free. So all you gotta do is just pay the expensive time, which, if you love making music, you want to spend that time anyway making music. And so now distributing that, getting fans and stuff like that, and starting to monetize either directly off the music, which is kind of going away, or monetizing somebody pulled me out my driveway. But yeah, so like I keep telling artists and stuff like that with these marketing reviews, when they're like, they say something about monetizing off of music, I'm like, directly monetizing off of your music is basically gone now. You might be able to, I was like, the only way you'd really be able to get it is you got those super cult followers who want to support you so much that they want to buy.
And I said it earlier.
They want to pay $20 for that CD.
Yep.
They want to actually get the, buy this or whatever. But you can just have them donate to you, or you can have other things about you that they can go and buy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And one thing I see artists do as well too is that when they create merchandise for themselves, it's always branded for them. It's basically a walking advertisement for them.
Yeah.
And I tell them, I'm like, don't do that. Create cool looking merchandise that is beyond your brand, that doesn't necessarily, you could put your face like on a little bit in the bottom or whatever, or something like that. You can still have a little bit of branding on it, but don't have like, a lot of people will see people walk around with like a Drake shirt or a Pac shirt or a Biggie shirt or, a Seven Dust shirt or whatever. And it's got like the picture of the artist on the front. And then like I got a Metallica shirt or whatever, not the one you guys usually see me with, but another one that was actually a tour shirt. Right. And so on the back, it's got all the dates on the tour, stuff like that. That's all a big billboard that you're walking around with. You paid to get that billboard and walk around with it, and not only broadcast for that band or that artist, but also broadcast, hey, I was a part of this, right? So it's like a social proofing for people. Well, that's kind of going away unless you're a superstar, right? Because that shows. So like all of you independent artists and stuff like that who are on the rise, you just need to come up with dope looking merchandise. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're good at drawing or painting or something like that, draw and paint and then print that shit on either all over prints on shirt, come up with, prints on the shirts or whatever, come up with tapestries. You can get posters, you can get fabric tapestries. You can have it on cups. You can have it on pins. You can have it on purses. You can have it on leggings. You can have it on socks. You can have it on purses, whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? You can do all that kind of stuff. That's how you need to make merchandise, because somebody who just learned about you may like your music. They don't necessarily want to walk around with your face on their goddamn shirt. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Because then when they're out and about, people are like, who the fuck is that? But like, oh, this is somebody, and then they'll look it up. They're like, this dude only has like 1,000 listeners per month on Spotify. Why are you rocking his shirt? Oh, I like his shit. People don't do that.
Yeah.
People don't do that. So then, even if it's like your label or your brand or something like that, no, it has to speak to something. It has to be creative and entertaining, because until you get to that high level, you just can't do it. But there's so many other ways that you can monetize off of the profile that you build from your music, so that's why I tell artists, just give away your music. Have free downloads on your website that only require a fucking email so you can send it to the fan, right?
Yep.
And then, once a week or once a month, send them one email letting them know about what you're doing. Then they can keep tuning in, and you're just giving them all this free stuff. And then, that way, whenever you do talk about, oh, I got these new running shoes that I had custom made or whatever, they're good because, like your profile is like you're a big runner or whatever it is that is non-music related that I keep telling these artists to talk about, talk about some of your interests or hobbies that are non-music
That's part
related.
of your brand.
Exactly. That is part of your brand, and you help build your profile. And so then when people see you, like Joe Rogan, for instance, right? They see him as all these different things, but he is like the name that you think of when you think of different things. Like if you say UFC commentator, you're like, oh, like Joe Rogan. Or if you say, oh, comedian, you're like, oh, like Joe Rogan. You say, oh, podcaster, oh, like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
We say actor. Oh, like Joe Rogan. You know, he's not obviously known as an actor anymore.
Martial artist.
But still, martial arts. Oh, like Joe, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that, you know? Or you look at Andrew Schultz, or you look at Brad Pitt, for instance, right? You know, he does a lot of work. Like he helped rebuild half of New Orleans after Katrina, you know, stuff like that. You know, you look at Jessica Biel, right? Big time actress, but she has her whole fucking beauty line. Right,
JJ Watt being man of the year, doing, you know what I'm saying, Walter Payton man of the year, those things that they go doing, all that stuff, man.
Peyton Manning, right? He was the quarterback of the Colts.
Walter Payton. I'm sorry, I'm Walter Payton man of the year. Did I say that?
You said Walter Payton, but then it made me think of
okay, I'm sorry, okay, good. I thought
a few generations later in football, Peyton Manning, right? In Indianapolis, he has his like damn near a whole hospital named after him, right? The fucking Riley Children's Home is also like the Peyton Manning something, right? Or the children's hospital. I mean, like the guy's own fucking road and stuff like that. And this dude was just a quarterback that didn't even take Indianapolis to the Super Bowl ever, that I think of. Maybe once.
Yeah, he did.
Right?
Yeah, once. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Like, they won
once, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but still, like this motherfucker went on to do like commercials for Papa John's. From being a quarterback on the Indianapolis Colts, that
nationwide is on your side.
Exactly. Nationwide and stuff like that, right? And he was a quarterback on the Colts for a decade or something like that. The Colts rarely go. You know what I'm saying? They're not like a huge name like the Giants or the 49ers or nothing like that, or the Patriots that always go to the Super Bowl or nothing. He wasn't even a big time quarterback like Brady, who was like, you know, getting like 7 rings or whatever, you know what I'm saying, more than Jordan and shit like that, right?
But
he wasn't even somebody like Jordan.
But his statistics, his statistics were off the chart. And what it was is that he was always neck and neck with Brady. And because of that, they were able to put that, having that edge, even though he doesn't have as many Super Bowls, he's got, I think, a total of 2.
Something like that.
One with the Indianapolis and with the Broncos, but has gone to the Super Bowl, I think, 4 times.
Something like that.
And has been in the playoffs when he was with the Colts against the Patriots a number of times. Almost every year it was them 2 neck and neck. So it was like them being that predecessor, that competitor. It's almost like when you look at Joe Louis and Ali. Rest their souls. It was like Ali was the flash, and the glitz and the glamour of a boxer. Joe Frazier was the working man's boxer.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know a lot about football, so I can't really check you on the Peyton Manning knowledge. But what I was just talking about is how he built his profile beyond football.
Right. And I'm saying that because of him being able to have that, because of the edge that he had, he was able to really build his profile beyond that. Like with Tom Brady, we kind of just see where it was like, okay, what is he gonna do? He just ended up continuing playing football. What is he gonna do after? Like Peyton Manning was able to say, okay, now I got a show with my brother. We do Monday Night Football together with the Mannings,
and then he does non-football related
football related stuff. So it's like, okay, what's next?
Yeah, exactly. He was able to build off of that. So like, there's a lifespan for whatever you do, and then you can build off of that.
Speaking of Tom Brady, what am I talking about? He has his TB12 line that he's got. He's pretty much been the mentor as a quarterback for Shedeur Sanders, which is Deion Sanders' son.
Okay.
He's been really mentoring him. And seeing Colorado, seeing what Deion Sanders is doing for college football has just been phenomenal. So, yeah, Tom Brady it's taking him a little bit more time because because he hyper focused on football,
like just the game for forever, right? And that's why he's well known to somebody like me who hasn't watched a football game in years. You know what I'm saying? Just because he's got that name recognition. Whenever time I hear somebody talk about football, they either love or hate Tom Brady, even if they're not even cool with that that outfit, the Patriots or whatever, you know what I'm saying, wherever he went after that.
The organization,
you know,
and or the
like
Bucks.
even if, their team is not anything affiliated with him. They either love or hate him, right? And then but they know about him, and so, he's proof right there. Him and Peyton Manning, right? You can stay within, like, so if as an artist, you can build your profile to where you can still stay within the realm of music, kind of like Gucci Mane, how he's been putting on a lot of artists with his 8716 or something like that. Which is really funny because he's got 8716, but Jeezy's got 8732. You know what I'm saying? And so he's not quite as enough of like to be out there with Jeezy. But and then there was that whole fucking beef between them and everything like that, which Jeezy talks about in his book that I read a few weeks ago, which is pretty interesting. But as an artist, you can either stay within music and mentor the next generation and build off of that, like J. Cole, and I'm sure there's plenty of other rock artists that have done this, but my wealth of knowledge is a little limited on that. But you can, or football or whatever it is, whatever art you want to do, you can stay and mentor the next generation. You can have some kind of affiliation with talking about it still, or you can completely go another way. Like I can't remember who it was, but I know I've heard some football players who left football and then started a sustainable farm, and now they're farmers now. They don't do shit with football anymore. You know what I'm saying? Or like I remember back in the day when I used to be a progressive under Obama, there was the host of MSNBC, his name was Dylan Ratigan, right? Well, he ended up basically getting fired for going off and exposing the real system on air one day. And so he got kicked out of MSNBC. Well, then he branched off and started doing like sustainable energy and sustainable agriculture, stuff like that. He doesn't even fuck with media anymore. Like, he had like a 3-year contract where he couldn't compete, couldn't do anything or whatever, in the news realm. But after that's been years ago, he still don't even fuck with it. He's a fuck it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not rocking with that no more. And he was doing well. He was one of like the top rated people on MSNBC and stuff like that, way before Rachel and all of them, So like, no matter what you do, you just need to build your profile as being more than just one thing. That way you can go different directions, That way when you're like Muhammad Ali and you start having some issues from getting knocked in the head too much, you have something else you can do, like what Tyson did. You know what I'm saying? Or Floyd Mayweather, right? So like Muhammad Ali
avoided getting hit up in the head like that.
Well, there's that too. He avoided, but like what I'm saying is like, or Conor McGregor or something like that, where Muhammad Ali and some other ones like him, they were just boxers. And once they got done with boxing, they really didn't do anything else. Once either they retired or they got retired from their, their mental issues or whatever. I'm not trying to speak ill, but I'm just reality.
No, you're just speaking reality.
You know what I'm saying? So they were just kind of stuck. They had to depend on whatever money they had left. They had to do little appearances to get a check or whatever, right? They were basically living on Social Security almost, to an extent. But like people like Tyson, like this motherfucker's still relevant, even though he don't fight hardly at all anymore, right? People like Floyd Mayweather.
He started getting the training.
Exactly.
Well, also, and I'm really liking that.
Yeah, there's that too. And then, you got people like Conor McGregor, you know what I'm saying? He hasn't fought in a couple of years since he broke his fucking leg, right? But he's making way more money. I think he just sold his alcohol line for like $1 billion or something crazy, right? Like he's a fucking billionaire. And he came up from like the slums of Ireland.
Welfare,
and just he literally kicked ass his way to the top. And you know what I'm saying? So every single one of you artists listening right now, you can do something similar, right? But you got to branch out beyond just, I'm going to make music, I'm going to rock mics, I'm going to be on stage, I'm going to be in music videos, I'm going to get a label contract. Because the people that you do see that are on labels, a lot of them can't or don't do anything else. They just only make music. That's where they make their money. They may have a couple of brand endorsements, but that's it. Once they fall off out of music, once their music ain't hitting them more, they're done. They're done. They're those one-hit wonders or something like that, like Alien Ant Farm, right? Like, people like that. You know what I'm saying? They'll be one-hit wonders that just fucking vanish. and you don't know what the fuck they did anymore. You know what I'm saying? And in the hip hop space, a lot of the motherfuckers are crazy, like getting tats all over their face. Good luck doing anything else besides music or being an extra in a fucking prison movie with tats all over your fucking face. You know what I'm saying?
So unless you know how to do business, man.
Something else. Yeah, exactly. So you got to make yourself bigger to be known for something else. Because like Post Malone, he can, if he stopped making music, if he doesn't have something else going, he can only ever be an extra as a homeless drug addict in a movie, right? Because that's what he looks like. You know what I'm saying? He can't really do much else, you know, or be in like that movie. He was in a movie called Spencer Confidential where he was a fucking inmate, right? That's the only kind of shit you can really look like and do anymore after that. He can't go be a wealth manager at Wells Fargo. You know what I'm saying? Like he can't go be a publisher for children's books or something like that. You know, even if he has a high passion in it, he can't be the face of it. No, you know,
that's why I'm looking at what the
fuck.
That's why I'm looking at being, you know, working at Men's Warehouse. It's like, I know that me being a part-time worker is where I'm going to be, because especially on the floor, because number one, I don't plan on going corporate in there, but
that's by choice.
Yeah. And that's by choice. But I do enjoy the job so much that there are other things that I can do within it. And they see who I am. And what's cool is that they're willing to accept what I do, and in many cases, helping me to push forward in those endeavors.
And that's dope. And then the skills and experience that you get just from experience, you know, is going to help you in so many other ways, you know, like, you know, different jobs that I've taken have helped build me into the person that I am today and stuff, with my knowledge or my way of talking or my customer service skills or what have you and stuff, where I didn't have those at one point in my life, you know? So the more that you can do and more you can try is definitely going to help you, man. And, you know, so like whatever it is that you have other interests in as an artist, just try to be about that as well too. You know, like me and KP, we love making our music that we like to make, but we also like helping artists. Yeah. We also like being out here, you know, so we help artists with their music marketing. You know, we'll be their coaches, their mentor, their marketing manager, whatever they want to call us, right? For all different kinds of, either for a specific run or for something else specific. But then we also, you know, have this podcast where we just talk about it, give out game, and try to help people through that, like help people help themselves basically through this, you know. And then we also make our own music, and then we also have our own different endeavors that we want to eventually go to, and that we will eventually go to as well too. You know, and
we have families and lives just like everybody else.
Absolutely. But we also showcase all of this as well, because people know me and you as artists as well as marketing people and stuff like that as well too, you know. So we're building that multifaceted, and as an artist you can do that as well too. Like, you know, I was talking to an artist this morning I'm getting ready to do a review for, because I have conversations with you as well too, to kind of get to know you and get to know your direction, and then I give you your review. And so I was talking to one this morning, and I was like, okay, you know, what direction are you wanting to take your brand? You know, what do you want to be known for besides music? And so we and him were talking about that and stuff like that, you know, and so, you know, sometimes people don't necessarily think about it, but I'm like, you know, because he was like, he was saying how he's got some, for like the last 10 years, he had like a cannabis brand or whatever that he was like a spokesperson for or something like that, online and stuff. And he was able to grow that pretty well, you know, even though he couldn't use ads because it was cannabis related stuff like that. He was able to grow it and stuff. And I was like, he's like, I don't really know how to convert that over to my music. I was like, well, are you wanting to be known as the cannabis guy like Cottonmouth Kings used to be?
And he's like, Cypress Hill.
Right, exactly.
Right. And I mean, Cottonmouth Kings is a great reference, by the way, too. Awesome sauce.
Right there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I got them on the wall too. But they were also known as being like revolutionary, anti-government, I want my freedom, go fuck yourself type as well too. But anyway, I asked him, I was like, well, do you want to be known like that? And he's like, no, I don't really want to be known as the weed artist because I talk about way more than just weed in my music. I was like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Because he talks about addiction and jail and fucking, mental health and other things like that as well, too. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now we're going somewhere because now I can help this dude. I told him, I was like, you can still stay with, growing that cannabis thing and have it grow separate from you and maybe even be like a partnership with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can have that cannabis thing grow into its own individual brand. And then you can say, hey, if you're one of my listeners and you happen to smoke as well too, go check out this blog over here about cannabis or whatever. If not, hey, cool. I'm still going to be talking about this depression music or this addiction, everything, whatever the situation is. You're not known as Afro Man, the weed dude. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? You're known as more other things, and if he wants to start out with talking about people about mental health or about, about like overcoming extreme adversity as a child or anything like that, or if he just wants to talk about skateboarding, you know what I'm saying? Like I saw Lil Wayne on Tony Hawk's podcast and they were just talking about skateboarding like almost the whole time. The only time they talked about music is when Wayne said how he got a copyright infringement on a video that he made for putting his own music in it. And he wrote back, he's like, this is my fuck. I clear it. Cause like it came across like this is not clear copyright infringement. He's like, no, this is me. I clear it. But then he had to realize, oh wait, I work for a label. They have to clear it, blah, 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 stuff like that. But in that podcast, they just talked about skating the whole fucking time. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So, you can be multifaceted with something else, like I know a lot about, natural health and stuff like that with supplements and all kinds of other things, you know what I'm saying? So I can go on a podcast, which I'm probably going to be going on here soon. And we're possibly going to be having an affiliation with this company. I just met the owner of it last night who like he makes his own soaps and stuff like that as well too. And it's all completely natural, no sulfates, no nothing like that. So I was talking to him and stuff. And so, but I could go on a podcast with him on his podcast to help him out as well. And I could talk to him about natural shit all day. You know what I'm saying? We don't even got to talk about music. We can talk about natural shit all day, supplements and health and wellness and all this kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? So you can be multifaceted and you can go in all different kind of directions. You just have to just at least start with one thing. You got your music, yes, focus on that, get some catalog going, get content related to that going, but then just have one other thing that you talk about as well too. And I always tell people post one music related thing a week and post 2 to 3 non-music related things a week as well. So if you end up posting, and that's like the ratio you go with. So if you post 2 music related things that week, well, you better post 4 to 6 non-music related things that week. You know what I'm saying? And then that way you have a good balance where you're actually building a relationship with your fans in more than just one way. It's not transactional. You're not sitting there just hustling money out of them. You're actually building a relationship with them. You're giving them value and they're feeling that connection with you as an artist, as an individual, everything like that. And it's just going to help you so much more. And then the sky is the limit for what you can do after that. Absolutely.
And you will make your money. Trust us. It comes. If you stick with it. If you stick with it, your money will come, dude.
Yep.
You just got
don't take those easy handouts either, because when people have those hands out, they got strings attached to that shit. And those strings will wrap around your throat and choke you. That's why I always tell people, I'm like, fucking handouts always have strings attached, and those strings will fucking choke you. They will hang you up by that fucking tree that you fucking thought had money on it, but end up having death on it. So just figure out something. And if you need a little bit of help, contact either me or KP, and we'll ask you just general questions. If we don't know you for shit, you let us know a little bit about you and we'll help point you in the right direction. At least give you, at least we'll have a conversation with you that may help you come up with your own ideas that will work way better than anything that we can come up with. But just having that conversation with somebody like us, because we do free consultations, or if you want a music review or whatever, having this conversation with us will help. Could help you spur your own ideas, and you go off in your own way and never talk to us again, never give us a fucking single penny, nothing like that. But if we've been able to help you help yourself, bare minimum, then we accomplished our goal. Absolutely. Just like what we came here with with Taxi and all this other stuff, all the information we give you right here on Music Making Sense podcast is to help you help yourself and be a better fucking artist and a better human in general.
Yep.
Absolutely. Anything else that you wanted to add here today, KP?
Man, just great session, dude. Just wanted to, and just like you just kind of piggyback off what you're saying, dude. Just guys, just soak up the game, soak it up like a sponge, and apply it. If it doesn't work, try something else. But if it doesn't work, figure out what it is that didn't, why it didn't work. And if it can be improved on, improve on it. And that's what I learned, especially with this Taxi. Improve on what I need to improve on. And the rest, we'll get there.
Absolutely. 100%. Last words are great, man. So as always, y'all stay tuning in to everything that we do. Follow Eddie and everything. Music Making Sense podcast, musicmakingsensepod.com. Links below and all that kind of fun shit and everything like that. Keep sharing the show. Keep telling people about it. If you want a consultation with us, or you want an artist review, or you want to work with us or whatever, contact us. Wherever you're listening right here, drop a comment, contact us on the socials, contact us on, the website, musicmakingsensepod.com. We got Eddie and everything that you need. Music Making Sense podcast. We're going to get the fuck up out of here, y'all. Y'all have a good one.
Holla.
Yeah.